All right, I get to talk for a moment about what this program is. So, welcome to Youth Local Food Leader Educator Cohort. Chelsea, can you go to the next slide? We're going to look at this visually. So, the Youth Local Food Leader is a program of, it's going to start with educators. So you can see that in the center there. We've got educators, and educators are going to take what they develop and learn, and then take that to students. The students will then take this learning to the community. So I've got a timeline on here too, that the Youth Local Food Leader Educator Cohort is having an in-person gathering in November of this year. And that's like the kickoff to the program. Applications will be due August 1st. Folks will find out if they're in the educator cohort in September. There'll be some surveys and different things behind the scenes, but the big kickoff would be in November. Then those educators, after participating in this gathering and learning process, they will develop lesson plans and participate in monthly calls December through May, and have their students who they're working with then participate in a student-led service learning project. And then we all come back together in June and talk about this. So I have the same information in words on the next slide. So Chelsea, if you want to move forward, this slide is who we're looking for the cohort educator. The people who will be in this cohort teach high school students in a school setting and have an interest in using local food system education as a teaching tool. There will be three in-person professional development days, two in November, one in June, and then 6 monthly virtual learning calls. So if you're interested in that kind of learning, and then collaboration will definitely be a part of this, as well as community. So the responsibilities for the cohort educator are to, first of all, complete the application. We'll talk about that in a moment. That includes a scan of an administrator template, 2 recommendation forms due by August 1st. Participate in the training sessions I just described, the monthly virtual calls. The responsibility of cohort educators is also to write, teach, evaluate, and share 7 formal lesson plans focused on local food systems, as well as facilitate this student-led service project engaging the community. For this pilot year that we're talking about, this year is the pilot, the first group who gets to go through this. The location for educators needs to be in Iowa. The timeline is November through June, and educators are compensated. There's $6,500 stipend for time and effort, $600 for materials, and $750 for travel. So we can move on to that next slide, but that just kind of gives an overview. Let's look at this as a calendar now. So we'll talk about the same thing, but in a little different way now. So applications are open currently all the way through August 1st. And then, oh, I forgot to change the date on that. My apologies. The notice of selection would actually be in September, not August 10th. That's too quick. Then in November, we have a 2-day in-person training in Ames. Beautiful setting at the gardens. It'll be great. November 12th and 13th. That's a Thursday and Friday. Then December through May, that's when our cohort educators will be developing their lessons, implementing them, along with the service learning project that their students engage in. Fast for, also at that same time, so see, these two overlap. Also at that same time, they're having 1-hour monthly calls with the same group, so we can talk about how's the lesson planning going, how's the service learning project going, all the things. Then in June of 2027, which sounds really far away right now, but will come quick, we'll have a 1-day in-person gathering again that will include evaluation and final reports and those types of things. So what are we going to be talking about? That's the next slide. So this is the training content in November. That November gathering will include some information sharing activities around these 7 modules, we're calling them. And then from there, educators are the whole time through the gathering, we're thinking about how can we take this information back to our students? How do we align this with what we're already doing in our classrooms and what our students are learning and the standards that we're teaching in our classes? All of that is part of that gathering. But these are the 7 modules. And if you've participated or if someone in your organization has participated in the local food leader program that Iowa State also offers, you'll notice a lot of parallels. There's a lot of work around common language around food systems, careers, dignity and involvement, the relationships and community that's a part of this. And we really get into farm to school procurement and education, as well as then the service learning components would be modules 6 and 7, where we're showing students how to develop projects and how to evaluate those projects. So as you can see, these are skills that not only connect to local food systems, but can really impact a lot of different community initiatives that students would want to participate in, and we think will really grow future leaders. So the next slide has the food system diagram for you to take a look at. So this would be something in module 1 that we would explore. And you can see that there's lots of different sectors that are intersecting here. It's really complex, but we'll make it concrete. And then you will help your students make this concrete as well by providing specific examples from your community and taking these abstract concepts and making them make sense for students. In the center, though, that's where we've got our food supply, and then the outside is community assets. So that's just a taste of what would be in module 1 of this learning. So with that description of the program, let's talk about the application process next. I'm going to pass it to Martha.
I just put the link to the website that has the application process on it in case you want to read along as we talk about it. It's fairly clear and fairly simple. If there are questions as we go through it, feel free to interrupt. It is open, and I understand we already have an application, maybe almost complete, which is really exciting. I have been a little pessimistic about this. That's not usually my mode of operation, but I was very excited. I'm very excited that we have some applications. I just know I have a daughter who's a teacher of middle school, and she's just so busy that it's just hard to find time to do anything. So I applaud you roundly, teachers and everybody that works with youth, for making time to do something innovative and creative like this. It's very exciting. So the letter of administrative approval is the first thing there under the application. We've learned over the years of doing school gardens primarily that there's a much greater chance of success if we have the administration on board, um, with the project saying, yes, this is good. We want to do this. And it's important to our school because you're going to be asking for some paid time off. You're going to be doing some unusual things with your students. You may be doing some things outside of the school day with them. So you really need to have your administration's approval, all those people that are so key to making a school-based project successful, like the office staff, and the custodial staff, and the engineers and all of those people that we need their support and help because it's not going to be a normal school day. So that's really key. And there's a template there. You can change it. Your administrators can change it after they download it, and we'll need that to be signed for your application to be complete. Um, I'm going to keep going and then go back to the educator application. There's a recommendation form that we need exactly 2 of. So don't send us 5, don't send us 1, send us 2. And there is a form for them to fill out so that it's not like they're writing a letter. There's some thumbs up, I think. I'm not sure I I kind of developed the first form, but then it's in another application. So it doesn't look exactly like what we started with, but they'll be able to go through that fairly quickly. It'll get at, what they see as your strengths, maybe some challenges that you might have, and also be a reinforcement for the application that you complete, which is the educator application. We didn't put a lot of like short answers or essay questions in the recommendation form, but there are a number of them in the educator application. And it's organized the by the different modules. So there's general information at the beginning, and then just seeing how actually it's organized by a matrix that we have kind of put together of all the components. So innovation, your capacity to do creative, innovative projects, the audience that you work with. We expect you to engage at least 8 students over the course of the project. Um, your capacity to do this, your schedule, your class load, is it realistic for you to add this on to what you normally do? And then how likely it is that you'll be able to collaborate within your community, and also the commitment that we see. This is a pilot program, as Sarah mentioned, and there's a second year to the grant. Sustainability is often something that funded projects look at. So we're hoping that this won't be a one and done year. We're building some incentives for continuing the program after the first year. And this first year is really a pilot of all these pieces that we've put together to help you develop like really stellar programming in your schools. Um, so that's all I have prepared. And I'm going to pass it on to Chelsea, who's got the frequently asked questions
Yes.
section.
Thank you, Martha. Yes, so here, I'll just talk through those. Again, if folks have questions or additions to these kind of topical frequently asked questions, please just come off mute and ask them, or you can throw them in the chat. I'm watching that. So I'll just go through these. Who provides the funding? So the USDA provides this grant. It's the Professional Development for Agricultural Literacy grant. We applied for and were awarded this grant last year, and it is a 3-year grant. So what we're doing in this first year is module and training development, recruiting, amazing applicants, educators who are you all. 10 to 15 is how many we will accept into the cohort this first year. We'll be doing some evaluation, providing stipends, and then the second and third year again are similar. Another round of pilots open, as Martha said, to educators across the country. The commitment is about 9 months in total. So November 2026 is when we kick off our training, November 12th and 13th to be exact. This will be in Ames at the beautiful Ryman Gardens. And then it'll run through June 2027. So it's about 9 months of engagement. What are the expectations? So as Martha mentioned, to receive the stipend and continue participating in the project, we're asking folks to work with at least 8 students for a minimum of 15 hours per student. Obviously you're working with them at the same time over the course of the 7 months of lesson development. So 15 hours per person on a student-led service project that can be focused on local food procurement, distribution, and/or local food education. So there's some examples on the slide of what that might look like. You could work for 4 or more weeks, leading 45-minute classes with those 8 students. It could be 8 plus 2-hour evening meetings, or a combination of class time and out of school time. We're asking that folks collaborate with at least one community organization or farm, and also spread the word about the project and food systems to the community through social media posts or press releases, and we'll support that as well, kind of sharing the story of the work that you're doing. And if these all feel in line with what you're interested in and what feels possible, then this is the cohort for you. And we can't wait to see your application. So this is a question we're getting a lot. What if I teach X? What if I teach Y? Fill in the blank. Food systems is so fundamental to and intersectional to so many subjects in every aspect of our life, and so many, issues, that we're thinking very broadly about who this cohort would be relevant to, and how you could build in food systems education to that. So we welcome a variety of content areas, approaches, and, like I read on the previous slide, timeframes, different ways that you want to engage with this. So agriculture, FFA, family and consumer sciences, social studies, science, environmental studies, really any situation where you prepare and teach content. I bet we could make food systems connect. High school educators have the opportunity to engage students at the threshold of adulthood, when they need to learn to make good choices about their time and their lives. So the youth local food leader content can be taught in any of these timeframes and situations: semesters, blocks, or quarters, school setting, during class, out of school time, out of school, or in partnership with a school. So if this is yes, then this cohort is for you. What will my students need to do? They'll need to learn about local food systems from you, and become youth local food leaders by completing a student-led service learning project. So this is where it's really up to the educators who are participating in the cohort to drive what the local project looks like. Every community is different. We expect every single project to be different as every single student and educator who will work with us on this. But again, at least 8 students for a minimum of 15 hours. And then incorporating collaboration with at least one community organization, farms, nonprofits, schools. And the project must, again, include some community communication, press releases, social media posts, which we will support educators with. How much leeway do teachers have to change materials, slides, and activities? So much leeway, all the leeway. We create a climate for creativity. I love that, Sarah. So we're asking educators who participate to create at least 7 lesson plans to teach to students, teaching them the content around food systems that educators will be trained on at our in-person November training. And you know your students best. So the way that you want to teach them is the way that works for them, and anything that, your experience and expertise has, we will be excited to learn what that is. So lots of openness there. And the 7 lesson plan kind of follows like the 7 months and the 7 modules of food systems education that Sarah mentioned at the beginning of this call. So that's where that number is coming from. Can teaching partners work together on this project? Totally. We'd ask that one teacher complete the application and take the lead on the project. That teacher will receive the full stipend, kind of having like a point person who will be in communication with, but totally collaboration, partnership, splitting any of the stipend and the workload with colleagues is totally allowed. What do you need from my administrator? So as Martha mentioned, we have a downloadable form on our website that's called a letter of administrative approval. And this is because experience tells us that the best chance for projects like this to succeed and be sustained is to have full support of the school administration. So we want them to be backing you up, supportive of, and informed of what you're signing up for. So we encourage folks to set a time to talk with an administrator about the project, listen to their questions, any concerns that they have. You can send questions to us,